John?
Can you bring us up to speed about a member of the Vice President's staff who is now tested positive for coronavirus? This is now the second staffer in the West Wing.
Yeah, well, I don't know much about it. Does anybody want to talk about it? She's a wonderful young woman. Katie, she tested very good for a long period of time, and then all of a sudden today she tested positive. She hasn't come into contact with me. She spent some time with the Vice President. I believe, the press person, right? You'd say press person. So she tested positive out of the blue. This is why the whole concept of tests aren't necessarily great. The tests are perfect, but something can happen between a test where it's good and then something happens and all of a sudden she was tested very recently and tested negative. And then today, I guess, for some reason, she tested positive. So Mike knows about it, and Mike has done what he has to do. I think he is on an airplane going to some faraway place, but you'll be able to ask him later on. But they've taken all of the necessary precautions. I understand Mike has been tested, Vice President, and he tested negative.
Mr. President, but if this can happen here at the White House, 2 people tested.
It can happen anywhere.
It can happen. So
You
why
see
should
where
the
it
other people
happens.
feel confident going back to work then?
No, because, well, then it would happen anyway, whether you did go back to work or whether you didn't go back to work. In fact, I saw a statistic come out of New York yesterday that was pretty strange, that most of the cases are coming from apartments and coming from homes. What was that all about? I think they said 66%. Did you see that? That was given by Governor Cuomo, that they're coming out of the home, right? So it can happen anywhere. It's a very elusive enemy, a vicious enemy, an elusive enemy, and I think more importantly than anything with this one, it's probably the most contagious enemy that anybody has seen.
Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
Given 2 positive tests in the last 2 days, what precautions are you taking here at the White House to prevent the virus from spreading further? And are you worried that it's kind of already in the White House and might
Well,
be
I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried. But, you know, look, I get things done. I don't worry about things. I do what I have to do. We've taken very strong precautions at the White House. But again, we're dealing with a invisible situation. Nobody knows. When I see that 66 in New York, 66%, where people stay home and that's where they're catching it at home, who would ever think a thing like that's possible? So all you can do is take precaution and do it the best you can. But Mike was tested today, and Mike was tested negative.
So are you taking additional steps here at the White House in the latest?
Yeah, we're taking very official steps. Mark, do you want to discuss that?
We've already put in a few protocols that we're looking at, obviously, to make sure that the president and his immediate staff stay safe. But it's not just the president, it's all the workers that are here. Obviously, you're here on a daily basis. But the protocols that we're putting in place puts a stronger emphasis on making sure that we do the mitigation that we need to do to make sure they're safe. I don't want to get into all the procedures that we have embarked upon, but I can tell you this is probably the safest place that you can come to. All of you, as you know, have to be socially distanced from the president. His meetings that he has are done with a social distancing plan in place. Outside of that, we may take some additional precautions as it relates to the Vice President and the President in terms of just making sure that the people that come in contact with both of them are done, that it's done in a way that makes sure that we keep the President safe. Additionally, every member that came here today, they were tested just in case there's a closer contact than we might have. But we put in some additional protocols over the last 48 hours, and we'll continue to monitor.
Mr. President, are you satisfied with the measures that have been taken so far?
I really am. Look, I understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with something very serious. And the fact that you have it doesn't mean that it doesn't go away. All right? You can have it and get through it very easily. Some people have a harder time. Most people get through it. Some people are devastated by it. But the fact that you get it doesn't mean I've had numerous people say they have it, and a couple of days later, they're better. Some people say they have it, they think, and there's almost no symptom. Other people have it, and bad things happen. So, but for the most part, when you have it, you get better. And supposedly, you're immune, although they're not 100% sure about how long that immunity lasts.
And is there, Mr. President, is there a reason why people just aren't wearing masks at the White House?
Well, they are. People
But
that,
they're not, sir.
no, people that are serving me are.
We have
The
not
people-
seen anyone wear a mask around you, sir, in the last
Yeah.
2 weeks.
So I can speak to that, you know, as we look at this, the people that are in close proximity to the president, obviously have tested negative. The mask that you wear is generally to keep other people from being infected. And so as we look at that, you know, I can tell you that the testing protocol is a strong regime, and as it gets close to the president, some of those that serve him will wear a mask in those closer proximities.
Mr. President, you said recently that you would, if necessary, be the first person to get a vaccine. How important do you think a vaccine ultimately is?
Well, I didn't say I wanted to. That's not a correct statement. I said, you said, would you be? And I said, if it was good for the country, I'd be. And if it was bad for the country, I'll wait to be the last one, or I wouldn't do it at all. No, I was asked whether or not I would do it as the first person. If I thought that was a good thing for the country, I would. I don't, you know, personally, and I have to say, I think we're doing very well on vaccines. If they wanted to use me as a test, that's okay with me, if it was good. But that was really the way the question was asked.
But how important do you believe a vaccine is to getting out of this? And what do you say to those that you know, this growing anti-vaccine?
Well, I feel about vaccines like I feel about tests. This is going to go away without a vaccine. It's going to go away, and it's we're not going to see it again, hopefully, after a period of time. You may have some flare-ups, and I guess, you know, I would expect that. Sometime in the fall, you'll have flare-ups, maybe. Maybe not, but according to what a lot of people say, you probably will. We'll be able to put them out. You may have some flare-ups next year, but eventually it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone. You know, there are some viruses and flus that came and they went for a vaccine. They never found the vaccine, and they've disappeared. They've never shown up again. They die too, like everything else. They die too. And so whether we do or not, I think great progress is being made by Johnson & Johnson, by Oxford, and some others. NYU, I see, is very advanced. But if you don't get it, this is going to go away at some point.
Mr.
Mr.
President,
President, what evidence have you seen that this is going to go away without a vaccine?
I just rely on what doctors say. They say it's going to go. That doesn't mean this year. It doesn't mean it's going to be gone, frankly, by the fall or after the fall. But eventually it's going to go away. The question is, will we need a vaccine? At some point, it will probably go away by itself. If we had a vaccine, that would be very helpful. Be very happy to have a vaccine.
How often do you meet with Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, and the medical experts, or have you essentially just moved yourself on to the economic aspect?
No, I listen to them. I have a lot of respect for them. Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci, and we have some other people that are very good. No, I listen to them very, very intently.
But how often do you meet with them?
Talk up, you have a mask on your face.
How often do you meet with the medical staff and the medical experts?
A lot.
the
Do you
unemployment.
find the CDC protocols to be an impediment to opening up the country?
Which protocols?
The recommended guidelines that have been
No, because I'm relying on the governors, and the governors are the ones that are doing that. And if I see something wrong, I'll clamp down on it very hard and very strongly. But I'm relying on 50 very talented governors. I don't think they are all talented, but many of them are very talented.
Why are you not releasing those guidelines?
They're released, they know what to do, and they know what they're doing, and we're going to see. But I'm relying on the governors to do their individual states, and they're relying on us very strongly for advice and also for help with respect to equipment, hospitals, beds, ventilators, but also medical supplies. So they're relying on us, and we're able to get them everything they need if they can't get them. Ideally, they can get it, but much of the things that we're getting and we've gotten for them, we're able to stockpile in their states. So we're sending it around, we're sending more than they need. So if this should happen again, they're gonna be ready this time.
And what happens, though, if the infections go spike once the government...
You have to put out the fires. Then you're gonna have to put out the fires, and the governor should be able to do that.
Mr. President, you said the third quarter would be a transition and the fourth quarter would be good. Where do you expect to see the unemployment numbers at that time?
Well, I think the unemployment numbers are gonna go way up, and the statement that Kevin made is incredible. Everybody expects to have a job back very shortly. That's not a normal situation. You go into a bad economy, deep recession or worse, nobody expects to have a job ever again. Everybody expects, I saw that chart, almost everybody expects that they'll be working again. This was an artificial turning off of a tremendous economy. We did the right thing because we saved millions of lives, probably millions of lives. But this was just all of a sudden one day we had to turn it off. When we turn it back on, which we've just started doing, I think it's going to come back blazing. I think next year has a chance to be one of the best years economically we've ever had because there's tremendous pent-up demand.
So if unemployment's at 14% now, perhaps going as high as 20%, where do you think that will be in the
I
fourth?
think the number is going to be a great number. I'm not going to say exactly what. I can say over a period of time it's going to be where it was, maybe better. Can't get much better. We were at 3.5%. But it will be, I expect it to be where it was. The demand is going to be tremendous, and next year is going to be a tremendous year. Fourth quarter is going to be very good, maybe better than that. The transition is going to be very interesting, but you're going to see some very good numbers coming out of the third quarter. It's a transition. I call it the transition to greatness. We're going to have a great year next year.
But
You'll
you
see.
think we can get dug out by the third or fourth quarter of this year economically?
Well, the third quarter, we're moving in that direction. Right, I would say it's starting right about now. We're going to start moving in that direction. But the third quarter will be, I think it's going to be very good. It's going to be a very good indicator, but it's going to be very good. But it is a transition quarter. The fourth quarter is going to be good. It could be maybe more than good, Kevin. And next year is going to be, I think it's going to be a really powerful year.
Mr. President, you were with 7 American heroes earlier today, these World War II
I
veterans,
was.
all in their 90s. Did you consider wearing a mask when you were with them, given their...
No, because I was very far away. I appreciate the question. I was very far away from them, as you know. I would have loved to have gone up and hugged them because they're great. I had a conversation with everyone, but we were very far away. You saw. Plus, the wind was blowing so hard in such a direction that if the plague ever reached them, I'd be very surprised. It could have reached me, too. You didn't worry about me. You only worried about them, and that's okay. Because I think they're so pure, it will never happen, all right? They've lived a great life. But, no, the wind was howling, and I didn't see anybody with masks. I don't know, maybe there were. But they were great. I had conversations with them, but I was standing, as you noticed. Would you say I was quite far away? Thank you, John.
Mr. President.
Appreciate that.